She married a billionaire for money. That was the plan. No illusions. No emotions. Just a simple, practical solution to a life full of bills, responsibilities, and dreams she didn't think she could afford. But then something unexpected happened. Between quiet breakfasts, rainy night piano melodies, and stolen glances across a sunlit apartment, she realized she wasn't in love with the plan anymore. She was in love with him. And just when she thought life had settled into something perfect, the doorbell rang, and everything changed. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more romantic stories. The morning of the wedding arrived wrapped in soft gold light, the kind that made even borrowed happiness feel real. Lena stood in front of the mirror in a simple silk dress that fit her better than any dream ever had. The apartment she'd rented for the week was quiet, except for the distant hum of the city waking up. Today, she would marry Adrian Vale, billionaire, philanthropist, the man whose name glowed from billboards and business pages. She wasn't in love with him. Not yet. She was in love with the idea of safety. With paying off her mother's hospital bills. With the promise that her little sister would finally sleep in a room with a door that closed properly. The contract had been kind, even gentle in its language. A marriage of convenience. Privacy. Respect. 1 year. When Adrian arrived to walk her to the car, he didn't look like a man buying a solution to loneliness. He looked nervous. His smile was warm, unsure, human in a way the headlines never were. "You can still change your mind," he said quietly. Lena met his eyes and saw no pressure there, only an open door. That made it harder, somehow. "I won't," she said. "But thank you for saying that." The ceremony was small. No flashing cameras, no crowds. Just a garden filled with white roses and a breeze that lifted the veil from her face like a gentle hand. Adrian's voice didn't shake when he said his vows, but his fingers trembled when he slid the ring onto hers. It felt like a promise. Not the kind you plan, but the kind that surprises you. Married life was soft. Unexpectedly soft. Adrian gave her space, never crossed lines she hadn't invited him to cross. They shared quiet breakfasts where sunlight spilled across the marble counters. They laughed over late-night takeout when both were too tired for elegance. He listened when she talked about her mother's stubborn courage. She listened when he talked about the weight of expectations, about how silence could be louder than any crowd. Somewhere between shared coffee mugs and shared glances across rooms, Lena's heart began to rearrange itself. It happened in small moments. The way he remembered how she took her tea. The way he left handwritten notes on the fridge when he had early meetings. The way he looked at her when she was focused on something she loved, like he was grateful to witness it. One evening, rain pressed softly against the windows, turning the city into a watercolor. Lena found Adrian in the living room, sleeves rolled up, playing an old piano he admitted he barely touched anymore. "Play that one again," she said. He smiled, a little shy, and did. The music filled the space between them with something tender and brave. Without thinking, Lena crossed the room and sat beside him on the bench. Their shoulders brushed. The world narrowed to that small, warm contact. Adrian's hand paused on the keys. "Lena," he said, not as a warning, not as a question, just her name, as if it mattered. It did. It suddenly mattered too much. She looked at him and realized the truth had been waiting patiently for her to notice it. She wasn't pretending anymore. She wasn't playing a role. She had fallen, quietly and completely, for the man who had offered her safety and given her kindness instead. Her heart raced, but her voice was steady. "I think I made a mistake," she said softly. His expression changed, just a flicker of worry. "What kind of mistake?" She reached for his hand, lacing her fingers through his. "I wasn't supposed to fall in love with you." The rain kept whispering against the glass. The city kept breathing. Adrian didn't pull away. He squeezed her hand, his eyes searching her face like he was afraid to hope. "Lena, there's something I need to tell you too." She leaned closer, her pulse loud in her ears, certain she was about to hear the words she'd been waiting for. But the doorbell rang, sharp and sudden, cutting through the quiet like a held breath being broken. They both froze. Adrian's gaze flicked to the door, then back to her, unreadable now. And in that small, suspended moment, Lena felt the fragile edge of happiness tremble, as if whatever waited on the other side of that door might change everything. The sound of the doorbell lingered in the room like a held note. Neither of them moved at first. Lena's fingers were still threaded through Adrian's, warm, certain. The piano bench felt too small for the space suddenly opening inside her chest. Whatever he was about to say before the interruption, those words were hovering between them, unfinished, alive. "I'll get it," Adrian said softly, though his eyes didn't leave hers. She nodded, standing with him. The moment stretched, fragile and bright, as if it might shatter if handled too quickly. He walked to the door. Lena stayed a few steps behind, her heart thudding with a hope she didn't want to name out loud yet. When he opened it, a woman stood there holding a small bouquet of sunflowers. She wasn't dressed dramatically. No storm followed her in. Just the quiet of the hallway and a gentle, uncertain smile. She looked around Lena's age, maybe a little younger, with eyes that were kind but clearly searching. "Hi," the woman said. "I'm sorry to come by unannounced. I'm Mira." Adrian went still. "Mira," he repeated, like the name had traveled a long way to reach him. Lena's mind tried to place the moment. No tension filled the air, no threat, just surprise, and something unfinished in the way Adrian held himself, like a story he hadn't told yet. "I didn't know if you'd want to see me," Mira continued, glancing past him, noticing Lena for the first time. "Oh, hi. I hope I'm not interrupting anything." Lena stepped forward, offering a gentle smile that surprised even herself. "You're okay. We were just talking." Adrian cleared his throat. "Mira, this is Lena. My wife." The word wife landed softly, but it landed. Lena felt it settle in her chest with a strange, warm weight. Myra's eyes widened for a heartbeat. Then she smiled again, careful, sincere. "It's nice to meet you, Lena." He always said he hoped to meet someone who felt like home. Adrian shot her a look, half warning, half embarrassed. "Mira." "It's fine," Lena said quickly, and meant it. "Would you like to come in?" They sat together in the living room, the rain still sketching patterns on the windows. Mira explained she was in the city for a few days, that she and Adrian had grown up together, that they'd lost touch when life pulled them in different directions. No drama. No rivalry. Just history, soft-edged and human. "I came to return something," Mira said, reaching into her bag. She pulled out a small, worn notebook. "You left this with me years ago. I found it while packing and thought, maybe you'd want it back." Adrian took it carefully, like it might break. "I didn't even remember you had this." "You wrote in it when you were trying to figure out who you wanted to be," she said, smiling. "You said you were afraid of building a life that looked impressive but didn't feel true." Lena's breath caught, just a little. That sounded like the man she was falling for. The man who left notes on the fridge. The man who played old piano songs on rainy nights. Mira stood after a few minutes, sensing the space she'd entered. "I won't stay long. I just wanted to say hello. Anne. I'm glad you found something good, Adrian." When the door closed behind her, the apartment felt quieter, but not empty. Adrian turned to Lena, the notebook still in his hand. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for that to happen right now. What I was about to tell you before the doorbell rang." She stepped closer, her voice gentle. "You don't have to explain anything you're not ready to explain." "I want to," he said. I've wanted to for a while. The rain softened, like it was listening. Adrian opened the notebook, not to read it, but to steady himself. This marriage started as something practical. I agreed to it because it made sense. But somewhere along the way, you stopped being part of a plan and started being the reason my days feel lighter. Lena's heart lifted into her throat. I think, he said, his voice low but certain, I fell in love with you before I let myself admit it. For a moment, everything was simple. Just two people standing in the quiet glow of a room that had become theirs. Lena reached for him, her smile trembling with relief and joy. Then I guess we both broke the rules. He laughed softly, pulling her into a careful, warm embrace. The world felt kind, suddenly. Manageable. Real. But as Lena rested her forehead against his chest, she noticed the notebook in his hand fall open. A single page slid free and drifted to the floor. Her eyes caught the first line before she could stop herself. If I ever marry for the wrong reasons, I hope someone brave enough will teach me how to choose love instead. Lena looked up at Adrian, 1,000 questions blooming in her chest. And at that exact moment, his phone buzzed in his pocket with a message that made his expression change in a way she had never seen before. Hope didn't fade from his eyes. But something else joined it. Adrian pulled the phone from his pocket slowly, his fingers hovering over the screen as if it were fragile glass. Lena's heart thumped. Whatever message had arrived, it wasn't a threat. The tension in the air didn't feel like danger, only uncertainty. He glanced at her, a small, reassuring smile tugging at the corner of his lips. It's something unexpected. But I think we can handle it together. Lena tilted her head, curiosity mingled with trust. Together? Always together, he said. Then, with a playful grin, he added, but let's finish the music first. She laughed, the sound light and warm, and moved to sit beside him on the piano bench again. Adrian's fingers found the keys, and he played the same soft melody from before. The notes filled the apartment, wrapping them in a world that belonged only to them. As the last note lingered, Adrian took her hand, holding it like a promise, like a lifeline. I know we started this marriage for practical reasons, he said. But I wouldn't trade a single moment of what's happened since. You turned my life upside down in the best possible way. Lena's chest tightened. You did the same for me. They leaned toward each other, and this time, there was no hesitation, only the warmth of a love that had grown quietly, fiercely, against all plans. Their lips met in a kiss soft as rain, steady as the light spilling through the windows, the kind of kiss that said everything words could never capture. After a moment, they pulled back slightly, foreheads touching. Whatever comes next, Adrian murmured, we'll face it together. No contracts, no rules, just us. Lena smiled, her eyes bright. I like that better. The rain slowed to a gentle drizzle, the city outside whispering of endless possibilities. And in that quiet apartment filled with music, laughter, and love, Lena realized that she had everything she had ever wanted, not because of safety or money, but because she had chosen love. They didn't know what the unexpected message on Adrian's phone would bring, but it didn't matter. They had each other. And for now, that was enough. Hand in hand, they stepped away from the piano, ready to face a future they would build together, one soft, golden, and full of heart. And somewhere, just beyond the horizon of the city, life waited with new surprises, promising that love, once found, only grows.